A brief synopsis. Season 3 Episode 2. The 1st of October 2024. When I was a child I used to think that, if God existed, surely she would want me to be curious. Not just believe anything I hear, or follow a faith blindly, just because. It's so hard to avoid all the traps as we are literally born into the trap. Life itself is the trap. From the moment your unfortunate soul exits the sun after dying, we are doomed here in this third density environment, mind wiped and reformatted into a very old, yet now blank soul with no memories of any lives lived previously. We are programmed from birth into the new normal that was our existence here on Earth, as food, just food. Yet we are given the illusion of progress, wealth, success, happiness and an installed vision of what we will one day become if we are lucky enough to avoid the wars and famines, plagues and pestilence. As a species we will one day be advanced enough to leave our spherical planet that rests uneasy on its precessional axis 2/3 RDs of the way out in an average spiral galaxy, before our gaseous sun goes supernova and explodes in a nuclear reaction that will envelope our scorched planet, completely destroying it forever in about 500 million years from now. So we are informed by the 33rd degree Freemasonic experts who decide on our reality on our behalf. Not to help hide reality, no, of course not, they decide on our reality, on our behalf for us, for our own benefit, obviously. I mean they wouldn't lie, would they? They are our own people, they couldn't lie to us, could they? The problem is that nothing we encounter in this faux reality is real. That may seem a bold statement, but the fact of the matter is that what we thought about ourselves and the environment that we find ourselves in is not real. Nothing about it is real. That's hard to explain to a newbie, or even a really awake person, but the surgical scalpel of thought can cut the truth out of this statement without proof, if you let it. If you are willing to contemplate the impossible, you may have a fair shot at a clean ascension. By clean I mean less traumatic, as everyone ascends WWG1WGA style, but not everyone evolves, sadly yet totally expected. In fact our soul family of various ET leaders are actually overjoyed with the amount of people who did wake up in time. It was a tall order to expect anyone to believe that we live on a flat plane, let alone what goes on behind the ice wall. People laugh, people troll, people do what people do, but it does not change reality, and there is only one reality. Reality isn't a set of situations in flux that you can decide upon at will when the mood takes your fancy. Reality is that if you were born male, you are male. Reality dictates that if you put a slice of bread between your ass crack, it doesn't mean that you can now identify a Fukin toaster. It makes you a mental health case, and sadly these days the rest of society is expected to play along with your delusional and fractured mind. Not for long though. Soul family won't be having none of that. No, there's hardly any legs left on LGBTQ. The lipstick, foundation and mascara will be soaked into the post-millennial stubble as it runs off their faces when reality comes toward them like freight train of truth at the EBS. Reality is an edifice of truth, a semi-tangible structure of human perception, but for us here it has been hidden out of sight and out of mind, covered by mud floods and resets, obfuscated by the Freemasonic lens of Satanism and deceit. No one was to know the truth for a few thousand years. The only people who got to find out about reality were the humans who managed to escape each reset, helped by the giants to exit the realm via a portal that goes to Asgard, or via one of the other 3 portals that exit this arena, Bird's Passage, the Summer Gate, and Morris Pass. These lucky humans, numbering no more than 1,500 each reset, were the only humans to find out about actual reality when they got to the Ancestral Republic in Realm 2. Or elsewhere at the other portal exits in 5th density. They would get the DNA fixed and these people will still be alive now, 6,000 years after they left the ice wall in Realm 3 during the 1st and 2nd resets, and after. Immediately after a reset, the stage, our entire realm, planet, is cleaned and tidied up, removing all the technology of that era and destroying it, or at least hiding it under hundreds of tons of soil, rock or sand, The valuables they want to keep are sequestered away and shielded within the building they want to keep. Then the loyalists come out to help install the new narrative of the dawn of creation. These loyalists are our own kind, humans just like you and me. They differ only in that these humans sold us all out a long time ago. Many thousands of years in some case, and this is why we see old sepia brown photos and black and white images and photographs of people like Jay-Z in the 1800s and Nicolas Cage, Justin Timberlake and many other celebrities in our collective consciousness over the last 80 years. We think to ourselves, wow, that well looks like Nicolas Cage. How can this be? It's because the facial features of all beings, not just humans, are ordained by the soul, and it is the beauty of the soul that creates the face. What is happening in these old photos is that these people, all of them, have been selling us out reset after reset, because what happens is that these super sellouts get the gift of reincarnation with full memories intact. In return for them selling us out and perpetuating the lies upon this planet, they are rewarded lifetime after lifetime with money, fame, success and reincarnation. Each life they live they turn more and more bad. Darker and darker their soul becomes. Eventually it will become a demon itself, but before that time, for instance, Nicolas Cage could be told by his masters, "Hey, sorry Nick, we need you to die in a few days' time because we need your soul in a new vessel for this next con on the population that we have lined up. It's got to be you and not Jay-Z or Justin because you have been with us longer and you are more trusted." Literally, these loyalists are reincarnated time after time to help cement the lies. In all industries and in all fields of scientific research, manufacturing, chemistry, physics, geography, technology, health, religion, sport, education, history, media, finance, travel, space, etc., etc., etc. All of it is lies and subterfuge built off the smallest kernel of truth. This is why so many people will be so angry at the EBS. The most intelligent citizens out there in the public domain, on this planet, the sum total of the combined knowledge and experience, is worthless. I'm so sorry to say, but it's utterly worthless because nothing that exists here in this realm exists anywhere else outside the containing ice wall that surrounds this planet. Don't forget this is the only third density realm in the entire universe. Please do not forget that. Only here do we have a concept of a God. And only here do we have a currency. Only here do we have police, governments, media, sports, entertainment, hospitals, schools, roads, cars, makeup, lingerie, rubber shoes, cosmetics, TV, radio, internet, shops, cities, and only here do we have crime, hunger, pollution, murder, hate, pessimism, nepotism, greed, lust, suffering, spite. Only here, and only here do we eat meat. We need to drop the concept of God, and we need to realize that money is fake and is used only for control and subjugation. Now is not the time to be hankering after money and success, however hard that is to pull away from, especially if you are successful, because even that word, successful, has a different meaning in every single other world out there. Successful outside this ice wall would mean how kind and altruistic you are, how benevolent you are, and how dedicated to helping others in your gateway that you are. What's a gateway? And what is the universe? The universe, and what we know of as space, is also, and not unsurprisingly now after 4 years of revelations, nothing like they told us it is. Space is actually dark matter, and that bit is true. They have to say something true now and then, so dark matter is actually not so mysterious as they informed us. It's well known about because dark matter is actually an incredibly powerful magnetic field that exists and is the known universe itself. If you were to find yourself within this magnetic field in just your body vessel, it would be instantly torn to pieces at the subatomic, angstrom level, by the powerful magnetic force. What a gateway is an area of this magnetic field that is confined within a cube which is itself made from the same materials as a firmament, Being a crystalline plasma technology impervious to penetration by any projectile, the cube is made of the same material and protects the contents of itself from the huge magnetic frequencies of the external dark matter outside the cube. By shielding the interior of the cube, physical life can then exist and flourish. The cube is gargantuan, hundreds of millions of miles in every direction, and the cube surrounds the entire planet. We actually live inside tesseracts, or cubes within cubes, so there is also a cube around each world on this flat plane, as the cubes are the projection stage housing, for want of a better description, of the physical arena of life. The arena that rocks will be formed from different sands fused together with cold fusion and created specifically as huge flat planes, some bigger than others. They are not all circular, rather they are roundish in nature. These huge flat planes are held, floating, ridged within their fields, stabilized in place via its own magnetic fields emanating from the inside perimeters of the cube. These worlds have two realms within each, and several inner Earths. The realms on the surface are separated by firmaments and an ice wall, and are only ever a minimum density of 4th, and a maximum density of 10th density, 11th density. After 10th density we no longer need a physical vessel and exist in light form, able to manifest a physical vessel at will when required. Every realm has a sun and most realms have a moon. The sun is the portal back to source creation after a natural death. Under normal circumstances, where a world is not occupied by 5 highly malevolent ET species who need you as food, we normally live naturally for about 500 years. But this is always extended to many of thousands of years via age-regressing EMF tech, and to example this, Christian's mother, Celestia, is already over 20,000 Earth years old in her current Pleiadian vessel, yet looks about 26 years of age. Since the occupation started approaching 8,000 years ago with the inception of the downsized new human third density vessel, with the trials on voice box and intelligence being ironed out, as that is what the Paleolithic period actually was for, because we were all 5th plus density. As I said before, they needed to insert us into a third density simulation so that they can control us, as they were unable to control a few 100,000 Pleiadians in 9th density. As I mentioned, we can manifest physical objects directly into our reality at 8th density. So they are in 4th density and we were in 5th density, 9th mostly, and like I said, there is no other third density simulation out there in the universe to get a third density vessel from, so that was what the Paleolithic period was for, a trial phase to create a third density hominid vessel capable of reproduction and speech. We don't use speech much in 5th density. It's all telepathy, so they needed us to be able to communicate with each other to form social bonds and go on to form civilizations. This also explains the blood groups. And no, if you are rhesus negative, that does not mean that you are an alien. All these blood groups here on Earth are only third density blood groups for this third density simulation. They have no relevance other than they were started as trials all over the planet to see which would be the most suitable for production of adrenochrome. That's why the largest number of negative blood groups in the world are located in Scotland, UK, and the northern Basque country in Spain. So these two groups were incepted at the same time in Scotland. And also northern Spain. There was no great migration. It was the first reset. Don't forget that all of history is a set of lies to hide the resets and the fact of us being food. That's what history is. A complete lie, all of it, very little truth in any history books, if any. This was being decided upon after the Paleolithic period 6,015 years ago, or the cradle of civilization in Sumero-Babylonia. Many eras have transpired, due to the age-reduced nature of the third density human living a maximum of only 100 years. All this seems to have taken so long, when in reality the 8,000 years, although a long time, isn't so long, and it will not feel like 8,000 plus years when we return to our old vessels and densities during the EMF. And considering that although the parasites wipe our soul as we exit the sun, causing the illusion of death, the Akashic records, which is in reality just the cube memory, like on a game console, your progress in the game is saved, That's what the Akashic records are. So during the first flash of the EMF, there will be 3 feet flashes. Within 30 seconds, we will all go physically back in time to the day before the occupation started over 8,000 years ago. We will all get to revisit every single event in our lives within 30 seconds. When the memories rewind back that far, to the day before the parasites arrived, we will all remember what had happened. We will all remember Christian and the Galactic War. You will remember your soul family and who they are. You will remember all the good things and all the terrible things. We need these memories to heal, to move on. Many people will buckle at this. Unfortunately, the vast majority of 10 billion plus souls here will be absolutely terrified out of their minds. And I'm not embarrassed to say that I'm quite content knowing this in advance, as they earned this terror by their stubborn apathy, and I do not feel sorry for them, not even a little bit. Previously, all species here, of which you yourself were one of, were a different ET species, one of any number out of 150 plus different A's: Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedan, Articulate, Maya, Caribbean, Anakim, Terran, etc. etc. This is why the need for the amnesia vortex, as you exit the sun, your soul's memory is wiped clean so that you never remember who you were before all this started 6,015 8,000ths of a year ago. We were all at least 5th density back then, mostly the beings here were all 9th density. Let that sink in when you're paying your electricity bill next week. We were 9th density. At 8th density we manifest physical items directly into our reality in real time. So imagine what a 9th density being can do. Don't forget that characters such as Jesus was showing you, the persona of Jesus Christ was you. They're just mocking you as usual. Back home you heal the sick, you teach love and empathy, you are pure of heart, and you are utterly selfless. We all are, and that is the currency in 5th plus density. It does not involve a blockchain, crypto, QFS or 15-minute cities. The QFS was the back door to the FEMA camp 15-minute cities with social credit scoring and no freedoms whatsoever because you just gave them all away by wanting a QFS. The parasites can't just put you in a FEMA camp and annihilate you. No, they must engineer a situation where you ask, even beg for a FEMA camp execution, and they did that with a QFSNESARA, GESARA. Look how many people actually desire this. Everyone wants the forgiveness of all debt, humanitarian projects, and to have clean skies and no pollution, to have time to enjoy life with free energy and a low impact on the environment. But that is not what the QFS was: problem, reaction, solution, as the Luciferian David Icke coined it. They need you to back something with your emotion, so they carefully decide how to garner your trust, faith, determination, greed, lust, etc., etc., and they orchestrate a scenario to present to you, for the desired reaction to be observed and controlled, which is always to your detriment, such as the birth certificate scam that we are now all totally aware of, the COVID shot that we are all now totally aware of, and Human 2.0 that we are all now totally aware of. There are thousands more examples. As these tactics are all that is used via the mainstream media to coerce us into any decision they want to make. The internet is also the mainstream media. It's just another arm of this tool, owned by the same system of Luciferian control that owns the rest of it, including your house, child and car. They owned history, religion, sport, media, finance. They owned the prisons and benefits departments of the world, the police, healthcare and judicial systems, the oceans and the mountains. They owned it all, and they still own your mind. Even though they have now all been taken care of, their legacy still prevails in your mind and controls your daily lives. Decades of subroutines that became your faux reality. Did you know that the Truther movement was told to avoid Christian 21 as a topic in general? Avoid discussion of this man and his information. Did you also know that the top truthers are collecting profits to put towards the development of these 15-minute cities which are synonymous with a FEMA camp? The face of Jesus, as we now know, was the portrait of Cesare Borgia, the illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI. brought up by the Pope's satanic brother Cardinal Lancol Roderick de Borgia of the Spanish Aragonese House of Valencia. Cesare himself was a military commander and satanic pedophile. Interestingly, Leonardo da Vinci was actually a military strategist for Cesare Borgia. I mean, if children's TV presenters are among the most satanic and depraved psychopaths, you can guess what Caesar was like. So they mock you twice here alone. Jesus is not only you, but they have you all worshipping that image, being that of a satanic Luciferian child killer. And even this is dark magic, paying homage many times a day in every country, people praying to a child killer and asking him for forgiveness. It's beyond your imagination how deep this goes. There is no bottom to the pit. It's one long depraved hole of satanic depravity and illusion that has no end. The end for us will be a bright white light known as an EMF, electromagnetic frequency, which will restore the realm to its former glory, with 10-mile-high trees connecting the ether to the ground, as did the mountains before the parasites had the Greys cut their lofty peaks down to their mere stumps that we see today, such as Mount Everest, etc., etc., etc. These mountains were all 3 times as high as they stand today. But the parasites couldn't have this, as the healing frequencies generated by the ether high in the atmosphere connect via the giant trees and the humongous mountains to the ground. The mountains' bases go as deep in the ground as they are high, and this, along with the extensive giant tree root system, promulgate the energy and frequencies through the terra firma, energizing the ground with vast amounts of energy that the beings walking on the planet's surface barefoot or in grounding footwear, growing in its soil and swimming in its rivers, will heal with as they go about their lives. Illness. All illness is by design, and that's the role of GPs and Big Pharma. That should be quite obvious by now and no great hurdle to overcome. Similarly, birth defects and genetic disease are also part of the satanic research and development program. How to disable us and give us genetic issues. Primordial dwarfism and dwarfing is also just satanic research to obtain a smaller, more controllable vessel for adrenochrome harvesting. This rabbit hole has no end. Just more holes to visit. Gateway 10 is in Sector 21 of this powerful magnetic field. You could say that Gateway 10 is the universe, but it is only one tiny part of the universe, which is situated at the end of a naturally occurring wormhole. All gateways are situated at the end of a naturally occurring and stable wormhole within the dark matter magnetic field. Imagine a Swiss cheese of magnetic fields tunneled via natural holes, wormholes, and it is at the end of 2 connecting wormholes that a gateway is created. As mentioned above, a firmament technology is used to create a cube to cloister this area from the powerful magnetic fields fluctuating outside the cube, which is situated at the entrance/exit of the stable wormhole. Our gateway here contains one supermassive flat plane that houses 178 worlds, all spread out together on the plane. All the planets in the sky that you have heard of are located here next to you on the flat plane. Space does not exist in the capacity that you understand it. A world will be separated into realms via a firmament and ice rings, and the worlds themselves are separated on the plane by vast oceans. The beings all interact in trade, love and empathy for the greater good of the entire gateway itself. We are just one of billions of gateways out there, and more are discovered all the time. New gateways with no cubes and new wormholes connecting them, fresh for seeding with new life and a new gateway. This is what your children will be doing after we ascend and heal. The children of tomorrow will go off in craft, taking the battle to other gateways in the constant search for the helpless civilizations out there in other gateways who are being killed and eaten by the same idiots we had here. It's still going on elsewhere in the universe. Demons are still out there all over the place in other sectors, trying their best to win a never-ending war that they cannot possibly win, yet they still try. They have nothing else to do as they can't die, so they cause trouble and try to grow in power by Lucian worship of those they control. But not here anymore, and it will never happen here ever again, as we are now so protected and ready for a similar event on other gateways in the future. It was nowhere near as bad as here in this world. And normally we don't need to endure mindwipes and ridiculous living arrangements, having to incarnate in a third density vessel, etc., etc., etc. I asked Christian about this, as we do this all the time apparently, but never with a reincarnating mindwipe into a shit vessel 6 densities below our normal 9th density physical attire. It's so uplifting to see the youngers waking up. That lovely young girl who weren't having none of it. In that clip I posted a corporal weeks ago on my Facebook page, a 12 years old explaining on video how she feels about her acute awareness of how fake our lives actually are. We need more her age group doing this. She's a born leader, the legend. I just had an odd few messages with a normie. Someone reached out, "Hey, I hope you and your family are doing okay." That sort of intro is always someone selling QFS tokens, and this time was no different. I let him beat about the bush, knowing full well that H is only 3 replies away from a letdown, because I saw him coming, but he thought he was in stealth mode. Sounded to me like he fell over a path full of trash cans on his way to my inbox. I explained in as short a paragraph as I could make it why there is no QFS, crypto, gold, silver, roads, police, cars, shops, schools, or even governments in 5th density, so no, I don't need to buy QFS tokens or XRP, as the young girl in the above paragraph said. Money. That's so made up. That ain't real. Shush is only 12 for fuck's sake. So what's the issue with all the grown-ups then? Hey, please someone from the normal grown-ups community contribute here. How can a fucking 12-year-old suss it all out on her own by just thinking about it and analyzing her own feelings, thoughts and emotions, to discuss it coherently with several million other people on camera? Shush has just got off a UFO from Pleiadia, that's why. Shush has only been here a week. Her parents must have dropped her off here on Earth as punishment. Quick mindwipe, and Shush is living in Detroit in a ghetto till we ascend. Lol, bless her. I mean, common people, this little girl has only been talking for 10 years, so what's your excuse now 5 years after COVID? You haven't got an excuse. We all know that no one wants to talk about it because they feel had, and assume that if they don't acknowledge anything to do with it, then it will all go away as usual, hopefully, but instead it's getting worse and worse, and now people realize that, somewhere along the line there is defo a connection between this strange, some say, satanic symbolism, and the COVID shot. That's all they're able to surmise using 97% of their 0.1% brain capacity. The other 0.03% is used in the selection of appropriate yet highly toxic food and tell a circus options for tonight's viewing. They will not look into anything, as it's a constant reminder of how little they actually know about reality. True Human 2.0 was launched with the vaccine, COVID shot. The technology is already installed in people who didn't die yet from the vaccine, to be able to mine Bitcoin while we go about their lives, mining BTC in real time 24 hours a day for their masters, who are the government, Draco, elite. That was just one thing the vaccine could do. It was a multi-tool for those who it didn't kill with, died suddenly. The zombie apocalypse films and series all the way back to the start of entertainment, this reset, were in plain sight, showing you what's to come in the future, as they always do, as they are compelled to reveal that, which they do, way in advance, so that you have been shown, told. So it's your problem if you didn't notice. The demonic pharmacia in the vaccine was intended to react to external stimulus of sound and light frequencies to switch normal people into psychotic killers, then normalize them moments later, repeating the cycle over and over until we all kill each other to death in a macabre Hunger Games style entertainment. The problem is manifold, but the solution is easy. Just imagine you didn't know anything until right now. Just imagine that you accidentally forgot every single thing that you ever learnt, everything. Then approach Christian's info. It's that easy, really it is. But the stereotype presumption trap fucks everyone right up, as it's so ingrained in us. The stereotype mechanism is just one of the software codes that we create as our own firmware when we are young. Our fight, flight, decision-making process will determine a threat by someone's attire, music, smell, language, etc. But this is a double-edged sword, as this is the same mechanism that they use against us in another way. Remember, a demon always more than one negative outcome for every decision he makes, so the double edge for us is that this same stereotyping is used against us via the use of uniform, dress code, overalls, suit, lab coat, tie, bow tie, beard, mustache, monocle, haircut, hair curlers, ripped jeans, shoes, voice, expression, a man in women's clothes, and makeup, etc., for whatever tier of society you find yourself occupying. First appearances, encounters are where the class system rests its balance, and its balance is final. There's no changing that balance afterwards, as the damage will already have been done. Not having telepathy causes this to be the only method of assessing a newcomer's intention, i.e. to love or to hate, to heal or to harm. Can you see how they use this against us? Twice. We assume an office type person wearing an expensive suite will not be killing children on a Friday afternoon and drinking its adrenalized blood. We wrongly assume that the oncologist wearing a lab coat knows about health. We assume that a 5-star military general would be a pillar of the community, not a Satanist. We assume a happy face is a sign of safety. We assumed they would never do that. Why would they want to annihilate us? We earn them money and we create their lifestyle. The elite, it's silly to think they would harm us. It is silly if you are human to think that, because you don't know what they're here for. They're not here for your furtherment. They're here for your fucking children, not your pleasure. Sorry to swear, but it's getting well long now. People, you are still being DECIEVED all day every single day. Now it's with the QFS. If having no freedom and being tested upon and closely monitored until they execute you is your idea of a nice life, then please carry on. But for those WHO do not like being tortured and used as a cash cow slave. You need to do some research. The first thing I did when I landed from Macedonia into lockdown in the UK in 2019 was research. I bought a book on Amazon called Welcome to the Great Awakening, and it was written by several Anons. Red Pill minus 99 feet I think was one contributor. Red Pill, something, anyway. I read it, fascinated as I hadn't a clue what Q was. But I had heard of it. What sealed the deal for me was the tippy top request from an Anon on the 4chan website forum 4. Okay, if Trump is connected to Q, Trump has a speech tomorrow, and in that speech get Trump to say the words tippy top, which is well documented. Google it. That was all I needed to understand. That was like an old rusty power switch from the 1897, you know, the type of switch Tesla would have made, like the type that would not look out of place in Frankenstein film. One of those switches coming on inside me, my little blue light activated. I came online back then properly, as I realized then that Q was a thing. And having smelt a rat since I was just 4 years old. Q was a real thing that seemed good, and the only good thing to be seen was QI was like an old Nokia on charge and slowly downloading bizarre info through my eyes and ears. Over those coming months, there was much confliction in the thought processes, and many topics were at odds with each other, causing a blurred final draft of the supposed scenario. Lots of loose ends that didn't make sense, and lots of worrying and seemingly true concerns, such as Trump being a Freemason, as just one. Jesus Christ, I thought to myself, if Trump's a Freemason, we are all properly fucked. Think for a moment. Chose a platform, a TED Talks show, a Microsoft convention, Professor Brian Cox on the universe, and his humorous way he has of endearing us to the simplicity of the complex, and of explaining God's handiwork to the keen audience. All these people and places are cabal assets and sanctuaries, the priests and priestesses of the New Age, of Human 2.0 that never actually got started. It got thwarted, but the point being that we assume these people and places are professional experts with well put together careers, documentaries backed by money and power. Their apparent social lives reflect a similar certainty that these people are to be looked up to and trusted, as they are all successful people in their own rights, so they are well worthy of emulation. And are ear, great role models for the future generation as they humbly offer us their embroidered nostalgia, musing about the celestial spheres and our place in the cosmos, or the latest bit of tech from Silicon Valley to triple calculations in a chip the same size as a hair follicle from the anus of a palm civet. It's all very professional. We have Tefal, Eggheads, an advert in the UK from the 1980s, representing they in the combined fields of science, technology and mechanics, and these professional people create the feelings of safety and security. The notion that we are in safe hands because there are experts out there to deal with the complicated questions as we progress towards the event horizon of our own collective future. We need not worry, as there is always a small group of Chinese people in their late 20s, in a sparsely decorated, yet well-lit room, with an Apple Mac each and an abacus. So why on earth should we bother looking to see what shape the fucking Earth is? Don't you think someone already checked this simple fact? Well, it's not that straightforward. Professional people and stereotyping are part cause of the perpetuation of this mess. This mess being the actual revelations of the apocalypse, or the revealing of that which was previously obscured, being the meat and veg of the conspiracy theories that have been floating about the last 200 plus years, with the cherry on the cake of the revelations being a special gift for the ultra-awake, or he who hath eyes to see, and ears to hear. The special gift was not for everyone, apparently, as most were not ready for it, refuted it and shunned it, requiring proof and calculations. What are you going to check them against? As everything you learnt was a lie to hide the truth, so deep was the programming that they refuted their heritage, an amazing heritage that is strangely familiar to a lot of us, because we haven't been here all that long. Like the young girl above, she's new here, and that's obvious. Any starseeds have only been coming in here since 1599 with Christian, the first 2,000 of them, when required to start gaining experience here in third density, when the banking system started to properly take a grip via the Templar Knights, or the Holy Order of the Poor Knights of Christ, who were originally just 9 knights who were sent to protect pilgrims on the Jerusalem pilgrimages from Europe and the UK to the Middle East. The Templars refound items hidden from previous resets, such as the Ark of the Covenant, etc., etc., etc. They obviously knew exactly where to look, as their bosses are the people who cause the resets. An Ark, as in the Ark of the Covenant, is also not what we assumed. They showed you the true purpose of the Ark of God in the movie Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember the scene in the film where the Ark is opened in a huge cavern with everyone gazing in awe, until a bunch of ancient demons exit the Ark and everyone has to close their eyes. That's what Arks are for. An Ark is for pure souls to enter before they are seeded into a new realm. The Ark is to keep them together and safe for transportation through a wormhole, or in a craft, to the new destination, just like a farmer keeps his wheat seed safe. This is what an Ark is. But, as usual, the parasites used their own arks for a different reason. The parasites are able to trap a demon in an ark via black magic and high technology. The demons are well aware of this fact, so although far more powerful than, for instance, an Anunnaki leader, a demon must not take the piss or they will be locked up again in an ark. The parasites use these arks to transport demons here and there all over the universe. Demons are the second most knowledge entities in the universe after source creation itself. You will not outwit an ancient demon. When Christian came in the pub on Lemuria in 324 AD and asked at the bar for volunteers for a quick mission over the wall to Realm 3 to help some humans who got themselves in a bit of a pickle with some bipedal crocodiles, I should have just opened a portal and gone straight home. I know for next time though. Next time when he comes in the bar with his leather flip-flops on and white linen gown, I envisage a bar full of A's disappearing like bullets fired out of a gun as they exit the saloon bar, leaving the doors flapping indignantly back and forth. Just the bar's cat sitting next to the coat rack, licking its paws by the radium fireplace. 200 million starseeds who are totally unaware of what they are here for, haven't had as many mind wipes, because we haven't had as many loops, as the rest of the population, so the stress and subjugation of our souls was nowhere near as final as those who were here for a reset or 5. Hence we remember only the scent of home, but that, bestow, has a very familiar aroma, enough to trigger a response, a compelling to act. You have had many lives with no break in between. This alone is highly irregular and extremely damaging to the soul. Without 6 resets dividing theme up, 200 million of us here came here to help wake people up. A small percent of us actually woke up in time. They had to insert 200 million because they knew full well that 90+% would not make it. I feel like a red crab on Christmas Island with the same chance of making it back to respawn. All you have seen to date are people pretending to be that which they are not. The faux feelings of success and contentment that fill your desire with the same feelings you get when you walk in an expensive restaurant for dinner, dressed smartly as you seat yourself down to dine with the thick starched cotton tablecloth, and a waiter who has a silver table sweep and pan to dust the crumbs from your Melba toast as they hit the cotton below as you sip a 73 dupape from an exquisitely thin 250 milliliters wine glass that rings like a bell when your knife touches it by accident as you reach for the cold butter array in the center of the table. Your Breitling aviator is visible to the closer tables on your left. The Swarovski cufflinks recoil as your arm outstretches for the butter dish, allowing a visible sign of your status to be displayed to all and sundry to admire on your behalf. What you don't realize at that moment is that you are exactly where you are meant to be, i.e., in debt, strapped up to the eyeballs and living beyond your means. You are thrilled to bits with yourself because you are out and being seen. You must be seen. It's all about being seen. In the penultimate days of third density, as there's no point spending all that money on yourself if there isn't anyone else near you who can't appreciate what you have done for yourself. You need onlookers so that you can immediately look away when they gaze at you with envy. You see how this shit rolls? It's so fake it's embarrassing beyond words. Think, the Hunger Games and the people who live in the wealthy futuristic part of the film's arena. That film, the same with all the rest, are merely showing you in plain sight your actual reality, but when you leave the cinema excited at a great film, you are not actually just condoning it. You are actively endorsing its perpetuity so that your children can expect the same or usually a worse life in the next 20 years' time because you openly showed warm appreciation for this film and its storyline. Can you see it yet? George Orwell wrote, 1984, in 1948, 70 years ago, and we are only just entering that era in their control now in 2024. Well, we avoided it on the 11th hour. But they showed us this 70 years ago, a prediction of prophecy which was in actual fact, looking glass, in reality, because whoever controls LG controls the realm. As with LG they could change the sky color and raise the oceans. If they so desired, with LG they can make daytime 24 hours long, or switch the sun off and have 24 hours of night time, literally. But the denizens of Locker C18, at New York Central Station, in the movie, MIB, they all thought the light bringer was Will Smith when he opened the locker door and gave them his wristwatch to illuminate the darkness with its radium dial. All hail J, all hail J. Again, in plain sight, we are the fools living in the locker, in Central Station, head in the shed, closed-minded goyim, getting nostalgic about Jesus who didn't even exist in the first place and holding a diner advert card, desperately clutching to it for some sort of religious significance, and it becomes scripture. Men in Black, MIB is or, in plain sight. All films are and all media is. Life is not what you thought. Nothing of what you know and believe is true, nothing, and your ability to process and accept this fact, as fact, is what will determine the level of trauma you experience during the next few weeks and up to the end of the first flash itself during the EMF. As I said earlier, there will be 3 flashes. The first takes us back in time to the day before the parasites arrived 8,000 years ago. The second flash transports us back to the future, like Marty McFly, and the third flash installs all your upgrades of evolution that you missed out on in the last 8,000 years. And don't forget that evolution is in reality a technology. Evolution via natural selection did occur once in the universe many billions of years ago, but since then it's been all technology. There is no supernatural. Everything is an artificial creation of technology. Before we leave this place to return to it just 30 seconds later, we will get to see the reality of where we lived. Just like at a big concert or show where the darkness is illuminated by laser lights and smoke machines, UV lamps make the white paint and backdrops glow an indigo hue. The artwork and light show is hung on walls and dangles from the framework bolted to the ceiling with the extraction fans and wire cables cobwebbing the area high up out of the crowd's field of view. This is how it will look when they remove the firmament closest to our heads. Like when the lights come on at the end of a night out, and you get to see the actual building you were partying in all night long, is actually a rundown ramshackle warehouse next to a SES pit, so we shall all see the reality of our existence, a long ago perceived plan to dumb down the most advanced species of hominid vessel created for the most precious blue light in existence. Your soul, this was about your DNA, and your soul, for the reason of procuring adrenalized blood from our offspring. Everything you thought you know is a carefully thought out lie to keep you from discovering this fact. People shit's about to get very real. The internet is about to fall and the QFS truther world is just about to crumble. It has to or we cannot proceed. Christian is going to be properly hated this next 2 or 3 weeks by several 100 million people, but only for a short time until they realize that he was here to bring the truth to them, for free, a truth they never even knew about to contemplate, and a truth that beggars belief due to its fantastical nature.